Hi, so recently there has been a lot of drama in my life involving my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, and I just want to know if I'm in the wrong or not. My husband doesn't think so, but the rest of his immediate family seems to believe otherwise, so I don't know what to think. Let me just start off by introducing ourselves. I'm 32 female and my husband's 34 male. We've been together for 5 years, married for three, and I've always gotten along decent enough with his family. I wouldn't say that we love each other or anything, but we are civil to each other, and we don't have any major problems. At least we didn't until recently. There is my mother-in-law, let's call her Nicole, and my sister-in-law Hannah, 29 female, and the people the drama is majorly about. And then, of course, my father-in-law Gary is also supporting the two of them and thinks that I'm wrong. All three of them believe that I need to apologize. So basically, all my in-laws are against me at the moment and I don't know what to do. Like I had said, we never had any major issues in the past, but I knew that they didn't like me as much as I thought that they should like their daughter-in-law. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe I'll sound a bit entitled, but I always felt like they had a hard time accepting me as part of the family. Because I had seen my parents and their behavior with my brother's wife, and it was not even close to how cold and formal my in-laws were with me. But then again, my parents are different people, so I just chalked it up to different kinds of personalities. In the beginning, I tried not to let it get to me. I thought that maybe it would take them some time to adjust and treat me differently. But it's been 3 years now and they still treat me the same. They are always kind of cold and I don't know, I feel like they treat everybody else differently. So that's always been a bit of a sore spot for me. However, we've always maintained cordiality. So recently I invited them to a dinner party that I was throwing because I got promoted at work. I had been working for this promotion for quite a long time, almost a year, and now it was finally happening. So naturally I was quite excited and I wasn't really thinking about anything else. This was coming with a huge raise as well. And of course, I was going to be working as one of the higher ups in the company. So it's a huge honor for me as well, since I'm one of the youngest people in such a high position. I think it called for a party, so I had been planning it for a couple of days and I finally sent out the invites 2 weeks ago just to surprise people, and a lot of people called to congratulate me after receiving the invitation too. And when Nicole decided to call me, I assumed that she was also calling to congratulate me or something. But when I picked up the phone, that was not the case. And in fact, she didn't even bother to say that she was happy for me or whatever before getting to the point. Right away, as soon as I picked up the phone, she started to tell me she thought it was a very insensitive move for me to throw a party around this time, knowing what was going on with my sister-in-law. For a couple of minutes, I had no idea what she was talking about, and then it hit me. Hannah had just lost her job a couple of weeks back. Let me just tell you, it was not pretty. It was a very ugly situation, but honestly, she created it for herself, and it's been more than a month since then. So even though it was quite a scandal, I do think that things have calmed down. And besides, I'm not going to cancel my party just because she had a scandal a couple of weeks back. What had happened was that she had been caught in the office, red-handed, having a nice time with her boss. It was after hours, and her married boss's wife had decided to surprise him by showing up with dinner so they could have it together and spend some time because he was working overtime. But instead, it was she who received the shock of her life, and of course, it turned into a huge thing. Both of them were fired, and even though the company was trying to hush it up, her boss's wife was not having it, and she made a bunch of posts about Hannah, completely calling her out in public. They were very direct. She named and shamed her, and she kind of deserved it as well, because Hannah was apparently very close to her boss and his family. So apparently his boss's wife used to think of her as a friend, so she never saw this coming. Of course, everybody in the family found out about it eventually because the social media posts were so direct. And it was a huge thing for a couple of weeks after that. But then, of course, people forget about such things eventually, and this was majorly just a scandal in the corporate circles that Hannah works in. It wasn't like some nationwide Lewinsky situation. But right now she has to lay low and she can't exactly go job hunting because, well, her reputation has taken a serious hit. So she's just sitting at home, and I'm sure that it's difficult for her, but what can I do about it? She's been denying everything, and even though she's lucky enough to have escaped any sort of legal action from the company, her entire career and reputation is under heavy scrutiny. And her only move has been to deny, deny, and deny. I don't know what I believe personally. I do think that she would be capable of something like this, but of course I'm not going to say that to her face, especially when I don't know the truth. However, I would just say I'm inclined to think that she has been lying about her involvement in all of this. And I don't think her boss's wife is some crazy lady who has made up a bunch of stories about catching the two of them together in the office just because he decided to file for a divorce. That's the narrative that she and her boss are pushing, by the way. That her boss wanted to file for a divorce anyway, and he initiated it just a day after he showed up with dinner for him at the office. Apparently, he and Hannah had just been doing their work separately, and they just happened to be sitting in the office together, but his wife couldn't handle the fact that she was being dumped, and so she decided to make up this story to make him look like the bad guy and extract more alimony from him to keep her mouth shut about it in the future. That's what they've been saying, that they just happened to be in the office together, but they were working separately. The security footage says that they did head to the office together, but since Hannah's boss doesn't have any cameras in his office, it's anybody's guess as to what they were doing inside. Anyway, my point is that there are two sides to the story, and in my opinion, jury is still out on what I want to believe about Hannah. However, whatever the situation is, no matter how difficult it is, I don't think it should mean that I should put my life on hold and wait for her to be okay. We don't have that kind of relationship. And that's not my fault. I have always tried to be a good friend. But all my efforts and attempts at being close to them have been rebuffed. Neither Nicole nor Hannah have ever considered me close to them, so I definitely don't consider them close enough to put my life on hold while I wait for them to sort things out in their own lives either. And that's what I told Nicole on the phone, that if she and Hannah find it hard to attend a party celebrating somebody else's success, I would totally understand it because obviously, given what Hannah is going through, they would not feel comfortable. However, the invites to the party had already gone out, and I had already been planning it for a couple of days, so I was very excited about it. I had made my payments to the vendors and everything, so I couldn't cancel it, and honestly, I didn't want to. This was something very important to me. I've been working towards it for ages, and I have earned the right to celebrate it. So if it makes them feel bad, they're free to choose not to attend. But I'm not canceling anything. I didn't yell at her or choose to be rude to her or anything. I was very polite and very calm, but I was very firm about my decision as well. And my tone communicated the fact that no matter what she said after this, I was not going to be changing my mind. So she understood that, and that was the end of the discussion. Nicole did not say much. She just said okay after a bit of a pause, and then she hung up. That was a couple of days before the party itself, and after that phone call, and in the days leading up to the party, I did not have any interaction with her, and neither did my husband. I had spoken to him about it as well because they hadn't RSVP'd or anything, and after I told him about whatever his mother had said, He told me not to bother, so I didn't let it get under my skin and I just put it out of my head. So naturally, it was a bit of a shock for me when they decided to show up at my party that evening, all three of them. My in-laws showed up together and I was a bit surprised, and so was my husband. But we didn't let it show, and we were very polite hosts and welcomed them like everyone else. We were nice and gracious, but as usual, Nicole and Hannah were quite cold and indifferent, and they barely even congratulated me when they walked in. They were very openly hostile this time, which was a bit different because usually they do try at least to put on a show of being nice and civil to me in front of other people, but this time that's not what was happening. And the people around us did take note of it because a lot of folks shot us some weird looks, mostly at them, but nobody said anything because clearly nobody wanted to ruin things because this was supposed to be my day. And even I let it all slide because I didn't want to discuss it and ruin my own evening. I was just keeping my fingers crossed and hoping that eventually they would steer clear of me and we could go on with the evening without a hitch or any interruptions. But obviously, I was hoping for too much with Nicole and Hannah. I probably should have turned them away the second they showed up and behaved like that with me after walking in, but I had been too kind to do something like that, and honestly, I don't think I would have done that even if I knew what they were about to do later on, because that's just not me. I'm a very polite person, and my parents have not raised me to act like an uncivilized brat and attention seeker, which is more than what I can say for them. And you guys will soon realize why I'm saying this, because just a couple of minutes after her arrival, my mother-in-law decided to make a speech. Usually on an occasion like this, the speech would be in honor of the person who was actually hosting the party and whose achievements were supposed to be celebrated that day, right? Yeah, that would be the case normally, but Nicole decided to make it about the daughter she was so proud of, Hannah. It was just bizarre because she started off by talking about how proud she was of this amazingly successful woman in the family who had fought against all the odds on her own and carved a niche for herself in her industry, and all those other generic things that people say in praise of other people, and everybody assumed that she was talking about me. To be honest, even my husband and I thought that she was talking about me because why would she attend a party that I was throwing for myself and my promotion and then go on to make a speech to praise somebody else? That thought didn't even enter our heads because it was just so weird. Anyway, even though both he and I and everybody else thought it was kind of weird that she was praising me through her speech after her behavior right after she had walked in, but we just waited politely because we didn't know what else to do. However, midway through her speech, she made it clear she was talking about Hannah by pointing at her all of a sudden, bringing her to her side, and then mother and daughter went on to hug in front of everyone, and Nicole announced in front of all our guests that she couldn't have been more proud of the real girl boss in the family. She emphasized the word real, which was obviously an insult directed at me because she didn't think that I had done anything worthy of being celebrated like this. And then she went on to say that she was very proud of her daughter for standing up for what was right, for standing up against all the lies and rumors being spread about her, and continuing to hold her head up high in spite of all the wrongs that had been committed against her at her workplace. Then the two of them went on to announce that they were starting their own company, and Nicole was going to be the first investor in her daughter's company. And if anybody else wanted to be a part of this massive new venture, they could speak to them about it later. So that's what it really was. They were trying to get the rest of the family to invest in Hannah's business so she could get back on her feet and reinvent herself, and they had made my party about themselves, just so they could get something out of it. I was honestly just shocked that they would do something like this because it's so bizarre and abnormal. And I don't know how to explain it. I don't think I can explain it, no matter how much I want to. But yeah, that's what happened, believe it or not. Obviously, after that, people were stunned at what had just happened, and there was a lot of mumbling and muttering going on. But even after that whole thing, I decided to be polite and I kept my cool and told them that while I had not interrupted Nicole's speech, I would hope that they would let the party continue without any further interruptions or speeches like this, because at the end of the day, this was supposed to be my celebration. This party was being hosted in honor of my achievement, and it was kind of rude and really disrespectful of them to hog the limelight like this. I kept it as polite as possible, but they took offense at that as well, saying that I was being selfish and it was already bad enough that I had decided to throw this party in light of the recent events that had taken place in the family regarding all the false accusations against Hannah. So the least I could do was support her in her endeavors for the future. At that point in time, people started coming to my side, including my husband, who was the first to speak up and remind them that the accusations about Hannah had not yet been proven to be completely false. And regardless of whether they were true or not, this was still not the time or place to make a speech like this and make it all about themselves. Other people from the family also started talking, and even a few of my friends spoke up and said that Hannah and Nicole owe me an apology for what happened because it was very obvious that they had planned all of this. So they had to make it up to me somehow, and an apology would be the first thing to do. They got even more agitated, though, and started getting defensive, saying that everybody should be supportive of Hannah and what she has had to overcome, instead of questioning her integrity and truthfulness. They started insisting that there was nothing wrong with what they had done. And then things started to get a bit ugly because people began bringing up the incident which Hannah had been caught up in, and people started calling them out for trying to whitewash her whole image, especially at a party that was not meant for her. They started telling her what I had said right in the beginning, that if they had such an issue with me throwing a party like this, they should have just chosen not to attend and let it go. But this was just really weird and tacky. Then there was a lot of arguing, and I was just mainly trying to quiet people down because I did not want the evening to be ruined. In the end, Hannah and Nicole stormed off along with my father-in-law, and that was that. After that, it took a couple of minutes for people to stop fuming, but I really did not want everyone to go back home angry and upset, so I tried my best to restore the mood and the vibe of the party. Most importantly, I did not want Nicole and Hannah to succeed in what they had been trying to do. I did not want them to be able to ruin my party, so I tried to distract everyone, and that worked because, well, everyone loves karaoke. In a while, everyone had pretty much forgotten about that particular speech. Things went back to normal, and apart from that one, I would say it went okay. Obviously, things could have gone better, but thanks to Hannah and Nicole, that didn't happen. Now, from all of this, it's pretty clear that this is not my fault, and in fact, I have been as polite and nice as possible, but even then, my in-laws have been blaming me for whatever happened at the party, saying that I should have supported them instead of calling them out like that, and I should have set the tone for the conversation that happened next. Basically, they believe that instead of telling them that this was not the time and place, and giving them the whole lecture about all of this, I should have been there by their side in a show of solidarity as a woman, because after whatever had happened with Hannah, she needed it. Again, like I said, I don't exactly believe whatever narrative they've been pushing. So I don't think that would have been the right move. Besides, this was not some protest. This was a party for my promotion. So I don't understand this whole expectation and entitlement that I should have come to their aid, especially when they've been nothing but disrespectful towards me. And I said that. I said that I do not owe them anything, and the fact that I had been so nice up until this point was enough. I can't be nicer than this. So right now there's a lot of issues going on. There's a lot of drama. And I really don't think that I'm the one at fault, but clearly they don't agree with me. We have been going back and forth on this issue for a couple of days now. I've been thinking about blocking them because honestly, I can't argue with them anymore. All the same thing over and over again, since I feel like we're talking in circles. And most importantly, my husband has already made it clear he's on my side, so I don't really care about their opinion. So, once and for all, I just want to know AITA for choosing not to stand by my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law? Update 1. Hi, first and foremost, thank you so much to everybody who commented on my post and was so supportive. I really appreciate all the overwhelming majority of people who have had nice things to say about me. I also know that a lot of people thought that I was a bit of a pushover, that I should have been a little more firm or aggressive or whatever it is, but honestly, this is just how I'm wired. I think I did everything in my power to make it clear to them that what they were doing was not okay, but they didn't care about it. Besides, I think some people just have a naturally quiet and calm personality, and that's who I am. I do not regret the fact that I maintained my dignity throughout all of this, and I would not change for the world. So really, thank you to everybody who tried to tell me that I should have been a little more aggressive with them. I appreciate the concern, but I don't think that would have worked with me because that's not who I am as a person. Besides, Hannah and Nicole are the kind of people who think only yelling and shouting and screaming your head off at people is the way to get through to them, but I don't believe in that. Anyway, I'm not speaking to them. I've blocked them and they cannot get through to me anymore. And I really don't care about making sure everything in the family is peaceful anymore. Why should that burden always be on me? So far, I don't remember a single occasion where they tried their best to be nice to me or anything. I don't remember any single time when they've tried to go out of their way to be polite to me. They have only done the bare minimum, so now they can't suddenly expect me to be their best friend and always stand by them, even at the cost of my own self-respect and dignity. They can believe whatever they choose to. It hardly makes a difference to me because at the end of the day, I know that whatever I have done is not wrong at all, and if anything, they are the people who've messed up here. Most importantly, my husband is on my side. The rest of the family seems to be on my side here. And literally everybody else who was there at the party knows that what they were doing was just plain weird and unacceptable. So I don't think standing in solidarity with them would have helped at all. In fact, it would have made me seem like a crazy pushover with no spine. So I'm glad I didn't do that. Anyway, I'm done with them. I'm done with their entitlement. They can believe whatever they want to. Update 2. Hi, so it's been 2 weeks since my last update, and these 2 weeks have been pretty crazy. I don't even know where to begin, but I just tell you guys that I have not been engaging with Nicole or Hannah because I don't think that there's any point in doing any of that. But it doesn't matter because they have still been trying their best to get a reaction out of me, and so far, I have not been giving them one. They've been posting all sorts of rubbish about me on social media, and I don't know why they think that it's going to work since the only people who comment on these posts are their yes women. I have blocked them. I don't see those posts directly, but other people have been coming and telling me about it, and it's exhausting, to be very honest. Recently, I even told everyone else not to bother showing me those posts because what am I even supposed to say? I don't want these things messing with my head. I don't want anything to do with them. I don't even want to see or hear what they're saying about me. Because I know it's not going to be good things, that's for sure. And so far, they have called me an attention seeker. They have said that I play the victim all the time. They have said that I have never deserved my husband and that my husband made the biggest mistake of his life by marrying me because I'm going to do my best to try and tear him away from his family. And I'm already succeeded in doing that because he doesn't speak to them anymore. They've been saying that I'm jealous and insecure of Hannah, that I can't stand Nicole, and that I'm that kind of a wife who cannot stand the thought of sharing my husband with any woman, even with the women of his own family that he has grown up with. I mean, some of these things that they have been saying about me are so nasty that I can't believe I was ever nice to these people. But I still believe that the best reaction is no reaction at all, because nobody from the family wants to talk to them. People are disgusted by these posts. People are disgusted with them in general and don't want anything to do with them. And they are only lowering their own standards by acting like this. And as for my husband, he has pretty much made up his mind that he's never going to speak to Hannah or Nicole ever again. And honestly, I don't blame him. If I was in his place, I would be mighty upset as well. He's actually the one who wants to pick a fight with them, to give them a piece of his mind, but I'm the one who has told him not to bother because it's just a waste of our time and energy. And we don't need that right now. We're just going to ignore them and we're going to wait for them to stop barking and go on with our lives. That's what my plan is. And yeah, it might be a pretty passive plan, but I don't really care because that's the way I work and I'm not going to let them mess with my peace of mind. Update 3. So I guess my plan worked. It's been a month since my previous update, and for a couple of days after my last update, Nicole and Hannah still continued to talk crap about me. But after a while they gave up because it was clear that nobody was going to give them what they wanted. Nobody from the family was going to switch sides and start talking badly about me, start agreeing with them about all the horrible things that they were saying about me, and just generally start disliking me because of them. We just ignored them and it worked, so now they're leaving us alone. And I hope they continue to do this later because I really don't want any more drama. All of this has been pretty intense and unnecessary. So my husband and I have even planned on taking a little getaway vacation trip. Finally, I feel like I can breathe freely without any of this weighing on my shoulders. And of course, my promotion is in the works as well, so that's another reason for me to be happy. And nobody can ever take that away from me, no matter how hard they try. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.